This video note demonstrates configuring background images with CSS. You've already used the CSS background color property to configure the background color on web pages. The CSS displayed here configures the background color of a web page to be a soft yellow. You can also configure an image as a background for a web page or element with the CSS background image property. Here we've configured the file name gradient.jpg to be the background of the body element. Note the syntax. Use the keyword URL with the background image's file name or path within parentheses. You may think that a graphic created to be the background of a web page would always be about the size of the browser window viewport. However, the dimensions of the background image are usually much smaller than the typical viewport. The shape of a background image is often either a thin rectangle or a small rectangular block. Unless otherwise specified in a style rule, browsers repeat or tile these images to cover the page's background. The images have small file sizes so that they download as quickly as possible. The gradient.jpg image is actually a narrow rectangle that's 20 pixels wide by 500 pixels high. The browser repeats it across and down the web page to fill the area allocated for it. In this case, the entire browser viewport. In this example, a 50 pixel by 50 pixel square image named texture.png is configured as the background of the body element. The browser repeats it across and down the web page. As just discussed, the default behavior of a browser is to repeat or tile background images to cover the entire element's background. We've used the body element, but this behavior also applies to other elements, such as backgrounds for headings, paragraphs, and so on. You can change this tiling behavior if you wish with the CSS background repeat property. The values for the background repeat property include repeat, the default, repeat Y, which repeats the image down the page, repeat X, which repeats the image across the page, and no repeat, which displays the image only once. This CSS configures a soft yellow background color for the page along with a 40 pixel by 10 pixel background image named tocolor.gif, which will tile vertically down the page. This CSS configures a soft yellow background color for the page along with a 10 pixel by 25 pixel background image named tocolor1.gif, which will tile horizontally across the page. This example is a little different. We've configured the H1 element instead of the body element. The styles for the H1 selector include a medium dark blue background color and white text color. The 309 pixel by 150 pixel Lighthouse JPEG image is configured to only display once, with background repeat set to no repeat. Notice how the image was created to fade to the same medium dark blue color that we're using as the H1 element's background color. The height property is set to 100 pixels. The padding property configures the text placement within the H1 element. You may have noticed that the default position of the background image is the top left corner of an element. You can use the background position property to change that. The values for the background position property include left, top, center, bottom, and right. You can also specify two percentage values or numeric pixel values. The first value configures the horizontal position, and the second configures the vertical position. Here's an example of setting the background position property to the value right. The styles for the H1 selector include a dark blue background color and a white text color. The 228 pixel by 72 pixel sunset.jpg image is configured to only display once, with background repeat set to no repeat. Notice how the image was created to fade to the same dark blue color that we're using as the H1 element's background color. The height property is set to 50 pixels. The padding property configures the text placement within the H1 element. This video note provided examples of using the CSS background image, background repeat, and background position properties to configure background images on web pages.